Everyone, welcome to Soulprint's Pendulum Friday. Thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for all the congratulations on the Canadian election. So Carney did not get the majority that I expected, but this is the thing. He missed the majority by 600 and I think 31 votes over 3 ridings. So he needed 172. He got 169 ridings. You know what? That's a really, really strong mandate still. So I'm really pleased that Canada did not, kind of go mega maple, and that there's a recognition that, sometimes you don't need a politician as much as you need somebody who's really, really money savvy to sort of deal with an economy that's sort of up and down. So I'm pleased. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for all of the prayers and good wishes, healing for me. I feel much, much, much better. And for Joyce's sister Kay. You guys are just amazing. Let's get started, shall we? Will the Federal Conservative Party replace Polyev with a more likable leader? Well, let's find out. I mean, he lost his seat, eh? Like his own riding didn't vote for him. He's been in politics for like 10 years or something. I guess maybe people just are like, yeah, we know what you are. We're not good anymore with that. Let's see. Will Polyev be replaced as leader of the Conservative Party? That's a really strong yes. Okay, for anybody who's new here, when the pendulum goes side to side, it just means that it's ready to talk. Back and forth is yes, round and round is no. And if it just stops moving, it basically means there's no answer or we're not going to get the answer right now. Will Pierre Poilievre be successful in obtaining a seat in the House after someone who was elected gives up their seat for him in that riding? So, that's just one of the quirky little things that can happen in, Canadian politics. So I'm just going to rephrase that. Is somebody going to give up their elected seat so that Poilievre can step in and take it? No. And the other thing that's really interesting is, if I'm not mistaken, he actually doesn't need to have a riding or a seat in parliament to continue to be the leader of a party, which is a little strange, but that's my understanding. I could be wrong, and if so, I will correct it on the next video. Here we go. Will EM remain the head of Tulsa? I did say that I thought that his chairman of the board deal at Tulsa was going to be really, really rocky. And as of Thursday, there is talk that the other board members have started a search for basically a new CEO. So let's see. Will EM remain head of Tulsa? No. Has EM worked his last day at the White House? That's a no. Let me just ask this. Will EM continue to be working in the White House by the end of May, at the end of May time? And that's a no. Alrighty. Are Chinese workers sleeping in the streets because of Trump's tariffs? Okay, so it's going from, it's a no. I think if they are sleeping in the streets, I don't know about this. I suspect it's a combination of things as opposed to just Trump's idiocy. When Vance met the Pope, did he really threaten to tax the U.S. Catholic churches if the Pope didn't back off of his positions on things like climate change and inclusivity? Did he actually make that threat? Okay, no. No. Well, okay. assume he has some sense. Is the lady that was in Rome for the Pope's funeral, may he rest in peace, really Melania? Yes. Okay. Now there's a bunch of questions here because I went on a rant the last video about the disrespect that Trump showed by not wearing black, which is the appropriate dress attire. It was very clear that people needed to wear black. And he wore it wasn't so much that he wore a blue suit, it was that the suit was a brighter blue. It wasn't like a dark navy. It was like blue. He just stood out like a foolish peacock. So, but there's a bunch of questions about this. So let's find out, shall we? Did Trump really know that protocol was to wear black suit and tie at the funeral of the Pope? Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, that is also the correct protocol when you are being presented to the Pope. Like if you think back, world leaders who have gone to see the Pope, they're always in black. I think that that's just what you're supposed to do. Considering the Pope had the unfortunate experience of having to meet Trump, Trump should know that. Did his staff tell him that the protocol was to wear a black suit and tie? Yes. Did Trump purposely wear the blue suit? Yes. Did he wear the bright blue suit because he felt it looked the best on him? Okay, so no answer here. So it's like that wasn't his entire motivation. Did 45 refuse to wear the black suit as a show of his power? Oh, yes, indeed. I'm ruler of the world. I don't actually have to listen to anybody. I don't have to respect anybody. I'm king of the universe, right? Will there be a class action lawsuit to release disaster funds to states recovering from weather extremes? This is insane. I can't remember what state it was, but they're like detonated by one of the recent storms. And he was like, no, you're fine. You're fine. Let the state deal with it. We're not going to put federal funds in there. And this was a red state. I mean, I think that that's what's so shocking, right? It was a red state. Is there going to be a lawsuit that will release funds, disaster aid funds? Yeah. Okay. Did Trump really show photos of his attempted / staged assassination to children at the Easter egg event at the White House? That's a yes. That's disgusting. Will May be the month when Republicans reach the height of pressure being squeezed from being voted out by their constituents on one side and suffering the consequences of going against 45 on the other? Okay, so compress that. Are you going to see a significant number of Republicans responding in a positive way for the country in the month of May? Okay, there's no answer there. Let's see what we can find out here. Are there going to be enough Republicans who will vote against Trump's ideas, his executive orders, he's trying to shove into law? Are there going to be enough Republicans to do that, to stop some of the most dangerous behavior or intentions of the Trump administration? Will there be even 5? Okay, it's a yes. It's not a great big huge yes, but it's a yes, so we'll take it. You know, it's the same thing with the Carney Liberal government that's a minority. When you are short three ridings, right? It doesn't take a heck of a lot to get your stuff passed. Okay, maybe the conservatives are going to push back, but the NDP are not likely to, even though they paid a really big price for being sort of in Trudeau's pocket for the last however many years that was. People have really, really rejected the NDP. They're going to have to completely remake themselves, I think. Um, and then you have Quebec, the Black Party out of Quebec, and they will. Okay, so I don't think that you're going to see the sort of really, really strictly divided lines in Canada the way you do in the United States. I'm not saying there isn't division. I'm just saying because the numbers are so small, it won't take a lot for the votes to come in to be able to push the agenda forward. Um, Whereas in the United States, it's a slightly different story because even though the House is a razor's edge, um, they're just not going to go against 45 at this point in time, right? So it's sort of like it's not apples to apples; it's kind of apples and oranges. Yeah, so there's articles of impeachment that have been introduced, and apparently there's another set of them coming down. This is a long shot, okay? I don't want everybody getting all excited um, because the House is going to have to vote those articles of impeachment. And right now, I'm not even sure if Mike Johnson's bringing it to the floor, but for sure, Republicans are not likely to push back on that if by some miracle the House actually accepts, I guess, those articles of impeachment and goes forward. They still have to deal with the Senate. So just because they've been sort of filed or whatever the language is for that, um, it's not a done deal at this point. But let's see. Will Mike Johnson bring the articles of impeachment to the floor? No, not right now. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing not right now. So will 45 be out of the White House by the end of August 2025? Okay, again, we're not getting an answer. Let's open up the timing. Will 45 still be president of the United States in the White House at the end of 2025, at calendar year 2025? Will he still be president? That's a no. Let's hold on to that one, shall we? Will Vance be president after 45 leaves? Yes. Sorry. What they were saying is, yeah, he will be until the midterms. And then he's going to be impeached because the Democrats are going to have the House and the Senate. And so, yeah, he may end up being president for a little while, but he's not going to hold on to the office. He's in his own way, um, just as much of a fool um, as 45 is. Will Jasmine Crockett be the first Black female president? No. Let's ask this too. Will Kamala Harris be the first female Black president as we look forward to the trajectory of the United States? That's a yes. Will May Social Security checks be delayed? That's a no. Does David Hogg know or believe that some Democrats are also Russian assets? Yes. When we talked about this, in one of the videos I did this week, I was talking about how he's come out and he's basically threatening to primary Democrats who are not, who are just stuck in that mentality that is not serving the Democrats, right? It's sort of an old-fashioned philosophy and way of thinking. And somebody wrote me a really, really lovely comment talking about, what the DNC is and isn't allowed to do, and that there's another organization that would be a better fit for Hogg because it's more progressive. So I thank you very much for that. You can tell I got brain fog here because I can't remember everything you said. But apparently, if I remember correctly, one of the things that the DNC is not supposed to do, I guess, is basically primary their own party members. But I can understand his frustration, right? Because you have that group of Dems, like AOC, and we'll include Bernie in there, and Crockett, and there's tons more, who are progressive. They're moving forward. Let's get this thing on the road. This is how we're going to fight those Republicans. Stop bringing a butter knife to a knife fight. But there aren't enough of them, and you can understand why at some point you have to say, you know what, listen, if you guys are not going to get with the program, this is not how things were 15 years ago. This is not how they were 20 years ago. This cannot stand. Either push forward more aggressively, or you need to be replaced by somebody younger who is prepared to do that. I can see that coming in, as we sort of make our way toward probably in the fall of this year, because that's when people really, really start going, oh, wait a minute, the midterms are coming up, for the next year. I think that's where you're going to really see. I don't know that they're going to be primaried a lot. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is there's going to be retirements announced. Is the U.S. in danger of a power grid / blackout anytime soon? The kind that Spain and Venezuela recently experienced. Is the U.S. in danger of a power grid or blackout? Yes. The follow-up question was, is Russia involved? And that's a yes. But I'm going to also ask this question. Is it in part a problem because the basic infrastructure is old and needs to be graded? Yeah. Well, Caroline Levitt, oh my God, she's a piece of work, isn't she? Be press secretary through the end of May. That's a yes. And the end of June. And that's a yes. She is, from Trump's perspective, thank you. She is brilliant at holding the party line, at holding Trump's line. It's not even the party, I don't think. She will lie with a smile on her face. She will say things that are incredibly contradictory to what was just said 5 minutes ago. In some ways, she really has sort of verbal diarrhea like Trump has. You know what? Just say whatever needs to be said, move on, move on, move on. Maybe they'll forget. Or I'll repeat it 100 times and then they just start to believe it's true. So, okay, so Mike Waltz, who was, let me see, National Security Advisor. He was head of the National Security. He got bumped out. Because Trump's had enough with the Signalgate thing, right? So him and his assistant, both are out of the White House, out. So right now, apparently, Marco Rubio has two jobs. So he's doing the one that he has, and he's also apparently doing this national security advisor. I guess he stepped in there. Um, Will Steve Witkoff, who is currently a special envoy to the Middle East and formerly a real estate lawyer, become national security advisor? Okay, so there's very, very little movement here. It's saying no, but it's a very little no. So I'm inclined to think that they're still looking, that decisions haven't been made. It's still very much in the air. That's the energy around that. And final question. Is it true that the Trump administration is stockpiling household supplies? Surprisingly, that's a very, very, very little yes. Um, I'm just going to ask another question. I'm going to add on to that. Are are the people who actually run the White House, who maintain the White House, who are, you know, cleaning staff, all that huge army of people that keep that White House going, are they quietly stockpiling cleaning supplies? Yes. So it's not the administration per se. It is, and I don't know why. I mean, a lot of cleaning stuff, like cleaning supplies, are US made. So I'm not quite sure if it's a reaction to the tariffs or I don't know, maybe they have a budget that they're trying to hold on to. I'm not sure. Okay. There we go, people. That's Pendulum Friday for May 2nd. I don't know how we got to May. It's crazy. But here we are. Thank you so, so very, very much for being here. I will look forward to seeing you next week. I will be doing a mini reading on the new Liberal government here in Canada. So that'll come out next week. And until then, you know the drill, right? It's the weekend. Do something nice for yourself and someone else. And until I see you next, take care. Bye for now.